happening. The bill we'll be focusing on today is A09032, otherwise known as the Student Suicide Prevention Act. So what is it? This is a state-level amendment to the current education law to enact increased suicide prevention in New York State. Sponsors. The primary sponsor, pictured on the left, is Joseph Lenthal. It has 39 other co-sponsors, 38 of which are Democratic and 1 is Republican. Goals of this policy. The overall goal is to decrease suicide attempts in New York State youth. Other goals include to ensure local school systems have a plan of action in case a child is discovered to have suicidal thoughts, attempts, ideations, or plans, as well as to educate staff and faculty on what to do in case a child attempts or succeeds. Policy history. This was created in response to Joseph Lenthal finding the following. The CDC's report in 2016 stating that suicide is the second leading cause of death in youth and young adults 10 to 24 years of age, as well as the Jason Foundation finding that a teacher was identified as the #1 person to whom a student would turn to help a friend who might be suicidal. Obstacles to policy. Some obstacles that I've discovered are few sponsors, which is a big one due to there being 150 total assemblymen and women in New York State. And of those 150, only 40 are currently sponsors or co-sponsors of this bill. There's also the fact that the primary sponsor, Joseph Lenthal, recently lost the Democratic primaries for his area. So he will not be in office coming 2021. Another obstacle would be primarily single party sponsorship. Like I stated earlier, of the 40, 39 are Democratic, 1 is a Republican. There's also COVID-19, which has schools unsure if they're even reopening. And with the increase in utilization of online resources, this bill would need to be modified to better suit this change. Because as it is currently written, they only offer online resources to other places. There's also the fact of the practicality of this bill. This is in reference to how schools would be reimbursed, or if they'll be reimbursed for the required training of their faculty and staff. Strategies to overcome this. When looking further into this bill, I found that no formal actors have taken any steps to overcome the obstacles mentioned previously. So the best way to overcome them is by calling representatives with concerns about the obstacles mentioned and to increase their awareness of them, because some of them might not even know that these exist. Implications for OT. Because OTs are not considered qualified mental health practitioners in New York State, OTs would be treated as part of the treatment team if the child has a pre-existing IEP. They also would attend meetings on how to recognize suicidal ideation in children, as well as depression symptoms. Other considerations to keep in mind is the following AOTA statements. The first being OTs from any and all practice settings should be aware of the risk factors, warning signs, and appropriate responses to a suicidal child. There's also that a holistic approach is best used when treating a child with suicidal tendencies. Why this bill? This bill is very close to my heart due to this past September, my close friend actually committed suicide. And I found myself very frustrated with how it was handled by my facility, my school. They had no guidelines in place, and it was hard to navigate what to do next for everyone. When I found this bill, I knew I had to advocate for it so families and people younger than myself could have an easier time navigating what to do after an attempt, successful or otherwise. And then these are my references.